It has happened once again. Another local coin shop that's just doing normal everyday business that a coin shop does, buying and selling gold and silver, jewelry, whatever it may be, has had their bank account randomly closed via letter by their bank that they've been dealing with for years. Now, why is this happening so often? And if you're wondering what I mean by so often, think about this. It happened to another person who uploads to YouTube just earlier this year. It has happened twice this year to just coin shops that actually have YouTube channels. Imagine how many coin shops around the US that don't even think about YouTube that are having this happen to them, and you've never heard about it. But we are hearing about it from these guys, and given that there's such a small sampling, man, I can't imagine how many this has actually happened to. But we're talking today about Scott now, and he had this happen to him just the other day. I just got off the phone with Scott. We talked for about 15 minutes about what had happened to him. And while I'm not going to have him on the channel today, I will have some clips from his video to share with you. And we're going to discuss why this is happening. And, what the heck can we even do about it? What is there to do about it? So let's get into it. But before we do me a favor, don't forget to like and subscribe and help us continue to grow the channel. And check out this awesome giveaway from our sponsor, SD Bullion. How would you like to win 500 Silver Eagle coins just like this guy?
Yeah, this is Kevin.
Hi, Kevin. This is Dr. Tyler Wall, CEO of SD Bullion. I'm calling to let you know that you won the SD Bullion giveaway of a monster box of 2022 Silver Eagles.
Unbelievable. That is awesome.
If you want your chance to be like Kevin, make sure you head over to sdbullion.com/silverseeker and enter today. So as I said, I spoke with Scott on the phone for a good 15 minutes about what had happened to him just so I could get a little bit more information. And while that phone call was not recorded, and I'm not having him on the channel, he did give me permission to share with you some clips from his video. So I'm going to share with you those clips. And additionally, we're going to talk about what Scott and I talked about on the phone as well. Let's start by looking at those clips, but I will say down below, if you want to see his entire video and give him the watch time that he deserves, I will put a link in the description below. Let's go ahead and get the headphones on. We're going to start with this first section from his video right here.
Our customer, we're writing about your account. After a recent review, we have decided to end our relationship with you and close your accounts referenced above. As stated in your account agreement, we can close your account at any time for any reason with or without notice. We will begin our closing process on September 6, 2020. They're just closing all my accounts. They don't want to do business with me. They won't tell me why. I went to my local branch, who I have a good relationship with, talked to the manager. She tried to find out. They wouldn't tell her. So here I was, left thinking, wow, what is going on, licensed by the state. I have an AML program. I'm very careful what I do. I know how regulated this business is, and it is very, very, very regulated. So I have to be very careful what I do. And I've been in business a long time. I know what to watch out for and avoid certain things or whatever. So I adhere to the law, and I've never had a problem. Never. I had multiple accounts. Even my kids' account with them was closed, and my wife's account closed.
All right, so there's a lot to take away from that first clip of the video. And if you listen to what he said, it wasn't just his accounts that were closed. It was his kids' accounts. His wife's account were closed. In the long form video and his full video linked down below, he even says that they closed his credit cards. Now, as far as the business is concerned and why they would do this, he specifically said that he is licensed. He has an AML on file, which is an anti-money laundering program that all businesses that deal in bullion have to have on file on how they deal with large cash transactions over 10,000, how they deal with suspicious transactions, who they report them to, so on and so forth. There's a lot that goes into it. But he has the AML on file. His business is licensed by the state. He follows every rule, law, and regulation possible, and yet still here's a bank who says, you know what, we're not going to do business with you, period, as a person or your family. It's not just you, your whole family is now banned from our bank. And listen, I understand that banks are private businesses. I do get that. I'm not arguing that they don't have the power to do this, but I don't think it's right that they do, especially when you're talking about just a legal business owner, a small business owner in the United States who is being targeted by these banks, because what probably is happening is he is taking too much cash out of the bank account. And remember, banks don't like you to take cash out of the account. That's probably the primary reason, but I don't know for sure, but I would imagine that that's probably the primary reason. Let's listen to more of this video and you'll see what he said.
I know they don't like, the cash part about it. I have to withdraw a certain amount of cash each week because I'm buying from the public. This is what I do for a living, and I have to have cash. but they know exactly where all the cash comes from. So there's nothing at all suspicious. Everything is documented to the T. I've heard of a few other coin shops in the area, actually a pawn shop and 2 coin shops that this bank did the same thing to within the last year or two. It got me thinking too, you know, what if all these banks decide they don't want to deal with these types of businesses? Even though it's a 100% legal business and you're doing nothing wrong, but what if they just decide, you know, we don't want to deal with these types of places. We don't like cash coming out of the bank accounts. The banks want to hold on to their. This stuff's going on, and it's very, very stressful, and it has me a little bit worried about what's coming in the future.
All right, so there's a lot more to take from that little short clip right there. And I spoke with Scott on the phone, and he said specifically, I'll tell you this, that he doesn't deposit cash into that account. Every dollar that goes into that account is traceable. It goes back to Bullion Dealers that he sells bullion to, the scrappers, the smelters that he sells the scrap jewelry to. That's where that money is coming from, and they can trace it all. He doesn't actually deposit cash into the account. So the only thing he's doing that the banks don't like is withdrawing a lot of cash. And banks don't like you to withdraw cash. They hate it. I'm going to tell you why. Think about this really quick. For every $100 that you deposit into your bank account right now, your bank can loan out 90% of that money. So let's say you have $50,000 in your bank account. Your bank can loan out $45,000 of your deposit. Now, that's okay as long as the bank is making money on that loan and they are able to give you your money when you want it. But keep this in mind. If every single person on the planet were to go in and withdraw all of their money at once, let's just say the US were to go in and withdraw all of their money at once, every single bank on this planet would fail immediately, as well as the FDIC would not have anywhere near enough money to cover every single account. It would cause a catastrophe unseen before. Now, many banks have plenty of protection and plenty of cash available, but nowhere near enough. We're talking just a few percentage points of what they would actually need to cover every single account. And that would send everything into a frenzy. It would be crazy. And there have been bank runs before. It has happened before where people have ran on banks and tried to withdraw all of their money, and the bank couldn't, help them immediately. They needed help. And that's just a very small percentage of the entire banking system. Imagine it on a full scale. And what's really going to scare you, and stick around, pay attention to this. I'm going to tell you this, and keep in mind, we're going to use a very layman's term scenario when I explain this to you. This is probably going to blow your mind, though. Think about this. If you deposit $50,000 in your bank account today, your bank can then loan out $45,000 of that. But what happens to the person who takes that $45,000 loan? Do they go out and buy a car with it? Well, let's say they do. Let's say they go out and buy a car with that $45,000. And then the person they bought the car from now has $45,000 that they deposit into the bank. So now the bank can loan out another 90% or $40,500 of that deposit. All of a sudden, your $50,000 deposit has become $90,500 worth of loans from the bank. Think about that. And it can daisy chain, so on and so forth. Now, of course, there are a lot of things that can happen. The business that he bought the car from may reinvest it into more vehicles. I get that. But they deposit some of that money, don't they? And so even let's say a car business does 50 million in sales, and they deposit 2 million of that. Well, now the bank's able to loan out $1.8 million of money that they probably got from people who took out loans, right, to buy the cars in the first place. So that money is then turning in once again to more loans. So, but in the scenario, let's just say, for example, that car dealership deposits every dime of that money and he doesn't reinvest it. Let's say it's an extra car on the lot. He just made $45,000. He deposits it into the bank. Now they can loan out 90%. Like I said, your $50,000 initial deposit has now become worth $90,500 in loans to the bank. Man, it's crazy to think about, but that's the truth. And like I said, if everybody went and withdrew every single dollar from the bank at once, every bank in the world would fail immediately. They wouldn't even be able to do it. They would close every single bank. They wouldn't allow you to withdraw your money. And that's why silver stackers like us, we much prefer to stack gold and silver. And that's why banks don't want you to withdraw money from your bank account. All right, so we have one little more clip to share from Scott's video. Let's take a look.
While I was off camera for a second there, I actually got a phone call from another old-time dealer friend of mine. He's much older than me. He was just at that Pittsburgh, there was a big coin show in Pittsburgh. I don't go to the coin shows, but he was just at it, and I was talking to him about the bank issue, and he told me he heard it many times there from other coin dealers. A lot of coin dealers, apparently, what he heard, are having a lot of problems with banks. So I think something's going on with the banks. I don't know if this is coming from above the banks, or what's going on, but it's not a conspiracy at this point. There is something going on, and
it's not a conspiracy at this point. There's something going on. Those words are coming from him, but I don't disagree. Listen, banks, I already said this, they just don't want you to use cash. They don't want you to have cash. They want you to be 100% dependent on the banking system. And that's why gold and silver stackers like gold and silver so much. And that's why I talk all the time about having cash reserves on top of your gold and silver, because this is money that is yours. It's physically in your hand. If you don't have it, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. I mean, that saying has been said for decades. I mean, literally, I've heard that saying 30 years ago. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. So it rings so true today. That's why we are gold and silver stackers. That's why we don't trust in, keeping all of our money in bank accounts. I understand the importance of bank accounts. I'm not arguing that they don't have a purpose. I'm not arguing that they're not required, but certainly also on top of using the banking system, don't keep all of your money. Remember when I said don't keep all your eggs in one basket? Well, don't keep all your money in the bank either. It's really not good. It's really not a good idea. And everything that's going on, I mean, who knows? They've actually closed an individual's bank account before as well. I did a video on this just a couple of months ago where this was just a regular everyday person who had his account closed from a bank for what they considered to be suspicious activity, and they ended up reopening it later. I don't know if he stayed with that bank, but my point is that he had did nothing wrong, and they closed access to all of his money. He had no access to any of the money that he had, all because he kept it all in the bank. So, guys, that's kind of my ramble to you today. Listen, I already spoke to Scott. We talked about it a lot. I kind of hinted at some of it in today's video. He specifically said he's even thought about selling the business because of all the worries that he has being in this business, because it's so overbearing what the government does to businesses like this, especially in the state of Ohio. He said, I know there's less regulations in some states than there are in others. And I kind of get where there needs to be some regulation, because otherwise you have businesses take advantage of people, like the business that I spoke about the other day. So I kind of understand that there needed to be some regulation, but it's become overbearing at this point. In a business, a small mom and pop business that just wants to buy and sell gold and silver, and they serve a purpose, and they need to make money, and they need to pay their bills, and they're being attacked by businesses, by government, banks and government, whatever it may be. So I don't know. It's scary. Conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat stuff, maybe. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. But it's not something that I enjoy seeing. It's not something I enjoy hearing. And whenever I do hear about it, I will keep reporting it here on this channel to share with you. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Do me a favor, if you haven't done so yet, watch this video. It's a great one, and it didn't get a whole lot of traction from YouTube, and I have no idea why. So check it out right now. Guys, thanks again for watching, and we will see you in the very next video.